a dot. And then up 1 and over 2 and put a dot. Now, what kind of line am I going to have? Remember that you want to look at your symbol, and so our symbol is greater than, indicating that we are going to have a dotted line. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and connect those with my dotted line. And since it is greater than, my solutions are going to be above the line. So you need to shade above. Sorry, that E's kind of ghetto looking. It's all right. You can write it better. And so you're going to shade above that line. Okay? Now, you have to think, because where the star people think they're all tricky pants is when they give you a point on the line. And so if they gave you a point on the line, would it be a solution? And you always say no if it is a dotted line, okay? Now, this one is not asking us that. That's just a little extra that I want you to pay attention to, because that's always where they try to be tricky, okay? Now, you go ahead and try number 7 on your own. It's already in y equals form, but I want you to give me an example of something that would be a solution. So after you graph it, I want you to come up with one solution that would be in your shaded region, and do the same thing on number 9, okay? So go ahead and try those 2 now on your own. Now, sometimes on STAR, they're going to give you a graph, and so this would be the problem. And then you're going to have 4 answer choices, and it's going to ask you which inequality matches this graph. Okay, and so you would have 4 answer choices of different inequalities that you've got to match it. So we're going to do this on our own, and we're going to do this one first. Okay, now where you want to start is you want to look, you always want to begin with the B, which is the y-intercept. Okay, so let's look first at where this line is crossing the y-axis, and it's right here. What is that? Well, that's -1. So my B is -1. The second thing you want to do is find the slope. So using that point, I can tell it's negative because the line is going down. Remember our slope guy. If the line's going down, that means that it's a negative slope. So I know that, but I want to find another point to do my rise over run with. Okay, I'm going to pick this one. Remember, you want to pick a pretty point. So if I'm looking at this, I am going down to and over 1. So my slope is going to be -2 over 1. I'm going down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And that's what makes that's what would make this line, okay? So let's write our line. I would have -2x minus 1, okay? Now, this one, the things that you have to notice with this line is that it is solid. So I know my symbol has to have it be either greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, because remember, if it's just greater than or less than, that makes a dotted line. Okay, so since this is solid, I know it has to have that or equal to part. Okay, because that's what colors it in. Now, how you pick is you have to look at where this is shaded. Since this is shaded this direction, we know that we want it to be less than or equal to. Okay, if it was greater than, it would be shaded on the other side. So let's rewrite our equation. I'm going to have y, and I'm going to have -2x minus 1, and then our symbol we just decided on is this guy, which is less than or equal to. So you would be looking for the answer choice that matches that, okay? Number 8 is a word problem, and again, you're looking for an inequality that represents strawberry and banana ice cream on this truck. Let's go ahead and read it. It says, an ice cream truck can carry at most 75 gallons of ice cream. The table shows the inventory on the truck. Write the inequality that represents the numbers of gallons of strawberry and banana ice cream on the chart. So we don't need it to match the whole thing, just the strawberry and banana. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick our variables. So I like to pick ones that match, but it already tells us to use X for strawberry and Y for banana. Okay? It's already there. So the first thing that we do is it tells you that this ice cream truck, so this little Bluebell truck, can carry at most 75 gallons of ice cream. Okay? So we need to write a total of all of these because that's what's on the truck. All right, so let's write the total first. You're going to have 20 plus 15 plus the strawberry plus banana plus sherbet. Okay? And we know that it does not equal 75. That's the most it can be. So what you have to decide is what inequality symbol is I'm going to be. Am I going to use? Not am I going to be. Am I going to use? And so it's going to be less than or equal to because this is the most it can be. So 80 would not be okay, but 70 would. Okay? Now, we're going to combine like terms. Let's add up all of our numbers. So 20 plus 15 is 35. Plus 18 gives us 53. So you're going to have 53 plus X plus Y is less than or equal to 75. We want X and Y to be on its own. So to get rid of the 53, I'm going to subtract that from both sides. That's going to cancel out. So we're going to be left with X plus Y is less than or equal to 75 minus 53 gives you 22. So that is the inequality that would show you how much strawberry and banana ice cream is on the truck. Okay? Now, I'm going to do parts of our last one with you, but you're going to do some on your own as well. It says there's an online store selling digital cameras and cell phones. The store makes a $100 profit on the sale of each camera, which we're using X, and $50 profit on the sale of each cell phone, which we're using Y. The store wants to make a profit of at least $300 from its sale of cameras and phones. So the first step is we need to write an inequality that represents the cameras and cell phones. Now, it already tells us that it wants us to use X for cameras. So cameras is X. And cell phones, it wants us to use Y. Okay? All right, now we have to write an inequality. So you have to put on your algebra nerd hat and kind of think nerdy and change these words into numbers. So if you know there's a $100 profit per camera, how do you write that in algebra? Well, it would be 100x, okay? And it makes a $50 profit on the sale of each cell phone. So and is always a plus in algebra. And so we're doing plus 50y. And since this is an inequality, it says they want to make a profit of at least $300. So we know we're going to have 300. But what does at least mean? Well, when I decide what I'm doing, I'm like, okay, am I going to get mad if I make only $200? Yes. But am I going to get mad if I make $1,000? No. So I am cool if I make more than $300, but I need to make at least $300 to break even. Okay? Now, I'm going to let you do part B on your own. You need to graph this. Okay? And remember, you've got to get it in y equals form first. Pay attention to what your axes would be. This is the y-axis, so that's going to be representing the cell phones. And the x-axis is going to be representing the cameras, okay? So go ahead and take a second and graph that. The other thing I want you to do after you graph it is part B wants you to come up with two solutions. So after you graph it in part B, you're going to shade your inequality. You need to come up with two combinations, okay? Solutions are going to be in the shaded region. So I want you to come up with, on your own, 2 points that are in your shaded region after you graph it.